What if I told you one band joined the ranks of rock's biggest success stories, while quietly destroying itself from within? Three kids from Chicago's South Side conquered arenas with 30 million records sold. Then came the robots, costumes, dialogue, theatrical warfare that split them forever. One drummer dying from substance abuse, two separate versions of Styx still touring today, refusing to share the same stage. Stick around. This is the crushing story of how a brotherhood became a civil war. The story of Styx doesn't begin with stadium lights or platinum records. It begins in 1961, in the working-class Roseland neighborhood on Chicago's South Side, where three teenagers, Dennis DeYoung, Chuck Pinozzo, and his brother John, started playing music together in basements and garages. This wasn't glamorous. This was accordion lessons turning into organ practice. This was playing weddings and bar mitzvahs under forgettable names like the Trade Wines, learning how to read a crowd and deliver what they wanted to hear. DeYoung switched from accordion to keyboards because that's what the sound required. The Pinozzo brothers locked in as the rhythm section, Chuck on bass, John on drums, creating the foundation that would carry them for decades. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. These weren't privileged kids with safety nets. They were the sons of blue-collar families who understood hard work, sacrifice, and the value of persistence. While other bands were chasing quick fame or trying to manufacture a hit sound, Styx was methodically building something from the ground up. Night after night, gig after gig, they were learning their craft the hard way, in front of audiences who didn't care about their dreams, only whether they could deliver the songs people wanted to hear. They weren't chasing fame, they were chasing a sound, something that blended the progressive complexity of Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, with the raw power of American rock and roll. By the time they reached Chicago State College in the late 60s, they had added guitarists, including the Hendrix-influenced James Young in 1970. Young brought the fire, the aggression, the edge that balanced DeYoung's theatrical sensibilities. In 1972, they finally secured a record deal with Wooden Nickel Records, a small Chicago label desperate for a hit. They needed a name. After endless debates and rejected ideas, they settled on Styx, the mythical river separating Earth from the underworld. DeYoung later admitted it was simply the only one that none of us hated. That negotiated compromise, that lack of unified passion behind the name itself, would prove prophetic. Wooden Nickel pushed them hard. 4 albums in 3 years, Styx in 1972, Styx 2 in 1973, The Serpent is Rising later that same year, and Man of Miracles in 1974. The pressure was relentless. The label needed commercial success, and Styx was their best shot. But the band couldn't find their identity. Too progressive for mainstream rock radio, too melodic for the emerging hard rock scene. They were caught between worlds, grinding through local gigs, building a loyal Midwestern following, but never breaking through nationally. The frustration was mounting. They had the talent, they had the work ethic, but talent and work ethic don't guarantee success in the music business. They needed a break, a moment where everything aligned. They needed lightning to strike. They were survivors, but survival wasn't enough. Then, one song changed everything. Lady was written by Dennis DeYoung as a love song for his wife Suzanne. It appeared on their second album, Styx 2, released in September 1973. The song had everything: sweeping strings, DeYoung's soaring vocals, a melody that grabbed you and wouldn't let go. It did well locally in Chicago, but nationally, nothing. But something strange happened. Almost 2 years after its release, radio stations started playing it again. Listener requests kept coming. Regional stations in different markets picked it up independently. The demand was organic, unstoppable, driven entirely by people who connected with the song on a deeply personal level. By early 1975, Lady was climbing the national charts. It peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 in March. This wasn't manufactured success. This was earned. 4 years of grinding, of playing clubs and colleges, of believing in something when nobody else did. It all paid off in that moment. The major labels noticed. A&M Records came calling, offering Styx the resources and distribution they'd been dreaming about. In 1975, they signed with A&M and released Equinox, their first album for a major label. They were finally in the big leagues. But just as momentum was building, founding guitarist John Kurolowski abruptly left the band on the eve of a major tour. Kurolowski, who would tragically die in 1988 at just 37 years old, was described by bandmates as not a real team player. His departure could have derailed everything. Instead, it led them to the missing piece. Tommy Shaw joined Styx in late 1975, and everything crystallized. Shaw brought prodigious guitar talent, strong secondary vocals, and a songwriting style rooted in straightforward, hard-driving rock that perfectly complemented DeYoung's theatrical vision and Young's aggressive edge. He was the melodic rock glue that transformed Styx from a good band into an arena powerhouse. With Shaw in place, they were complete, they were ready, but no one was prepared for what came next. From 1977 to 1981, Styx didn't just have success, they dominated. 4 consecutive multi-platinum albums, sold out arenas across America, songs that defined an entire generation's soundtrack. The Grand Illusion dropped in 1977 and hit number 6 on the charts, eventually going triple platinum. The album's centerpiece, Come Sail Away, became an instant anthem. DeYoung's epic composition started as a gentle piano ballad before exploding into a synthesizer-driven rock crescendo. It was theatrical, ambitious, and undeniably catchy. Radio stations played it constantly. Fans sang along at concerts, arms raised, voices united. Come sail away, come sail away. Pieces of 8 followed in 1978, also hitting number 6 and going triple platinum. Tommy Shaw's Blue Collar Man spoke directly to working-class Americans grinding through their jobs, dreaming of something better. James Young's Renegade was raw, aggressive, a protest song wrapped in a hard rock riff. These weren't just songs, they were statements of identity. The band had mastered the art of album-oriented rock. They understood how to blend progressive complexity with radio-friendly hooks. They could deliver 7-minute epics that satisfied the prog rock enthusiasts while also crafting 3-minute singles that dominated FM radio. Every album offered something for everyone. Hard rock anthems, power ballads, keyboard-driven epics, guitar showcases. They were constantly touring, playing 200 nights a year, crisscrossing America in buses and planes. The grind was exhausting, but exhilarating. Every night, they watched thousands of fans singing their words back to them. Every night validated the years of struggle, the sacrifices, the belief that they had something special. Then came Cornerstone in 1979, peaking at number 2. Dennis DeYoung's power ballad Babe hit number 1 on the pop charts, their first and only chart topper as a single. It was soft, romantic, lush with strings and synthesizers. For DeYoung, it was validation. For Shaw and Young, it was a warning sign. But the real triumph was Paradise Theater in 1981. The album was a concept piece about the rise and fall of a once grand theater in Chicago, a metaphor for the American dream's decay. It hit number 1 on the Billboard charts, went triple platinum, and produced classics like The Best of Times and Too Much Time on My Hands. They were at the absolute peak of their power. They were making millions. They were headlining stadiums. They were one of the biggest rock bands on the planet. But beneath the success, the fault lines were widening. DeYoung's theatrical ambitions were growing. His ballads were getting softer, more pop-oriented. Shaw and Young wanted to maintain the hard rock edge that had built their audience. The massive commercial validation of Paradise Theater, a concept album, gave DeYoung implicit permission to push even further into theatrical territory. The internal tension was becoming unbearable, and Dennis DeYoung had an idea for their next album, something bigger, bolder, more theatrical than anything they'd ever attempted. Success illuminated the stage, but it also cast shadows. Kilroy Was Here was Dennis DeYoung's brainchild, a futuristic rock opera set in a totalitarian society where rock music is banned. The concept was elaborate, politically charged, and designed for maximum theatrical impact. DeYoung's creative vision and control was dominating. Management turnover within the band also helped consolidate power for DeYoung over both the artistic direction and business decisions. The album was released in 1983 and peaked at number 3, going platinum. The lead single, Mr. Roboto, was pure synthesizer-driven pop with spoken robotic dialogue. It was catchy, it was commercial, And it was everything Tommy Shaw and James Young despised. Shaw later compared DeYoung's softer songs to the work of Barry Manilow, a comparison designed to cut deep. This wasn't about creative differences anymore. This was about identity. Were they a rock band or a theatrical pop act? Were they musicians or actors in costumes? The real battleground was the tour. DeYoung insisted on a fully theatrical production featuring characters, elaborate costumes, and 10 minutes of dialogue between songs. Shaw was horrified. He later said that fans paying to see a rock show were instead greeted with a 10-minute documentary about robots. The production was expensive, logistically complex, and creatively suffocating. Instead of walking out on stage with guitars and playing rock and roll, they had to follow scripted dialogue, hit marks like actors, and perform in character. For Shaw and Young, it was artistic betrayal. They'd spent 15 years building credibility as serious rock musicians, and now they were being reduced to props in DeYoung's Broadway fantasy. Night after night, Shaw and Young stood on stage in costumes they hated, performing a concept they didn't believe in, watching their core audience grow increasingly alienated. The hard rock fans who'd connected with Renegade and Blue Collar Man didn't want robots and dialogue. They wanted raw, guitar-driven energy. The commercial numbers told the story. Kilroy Was Here went platinum, a significant achievement for most bands, but a steep drop from the triple platinum standard set by their previous 4 albums. The audience was voting with their wallets, validating Shaw and Young's fears that DeYoung's theatrical maximalism was actively damaging the band. Backstage, the tension exploded into open hostility. Arguments became screaming matches. Trust evaporated. The brotherhood that had survived 15 years of struggle and success was disintegrating in real time. Tommy Shaw was the first to walk away. He needed a break, needed to pursue solo work, needed to escape the suffocating theatrical prison Kilroy had become. DeYoung, unable to convince Shaw to return, also pursued solo projects. The classic lineup was over, and then silence. The silence after the Kilroy collapse was occasionally broken by reunion attempts, but they were doomed from the start. The emotional wounds were too deep. Trust had been shattered, and then came tragedy. On July 16, 1996, founding drummer John Pinozzo died at age 47. The cause was gastrointestinal hemorrhaging and cirrhosis resulting from chronic alcoholism. John, remembered by his bandmates as very physically funny with an enthusiasm for life, had been too ill to join the Return to Paradise reunion tour planned for that year. His death created an irreversible void. The original 5-member unit, the sacred lineup that had forged Styx from Chicago's South Side, was permanently broken. Tommy Shaw wrote the song Dear John in his memory, but words couldn't heal what was lost. After John's passing, ongoing health and business disputes deepened the rift within the band. The original brotherhood was already gone. The final schism came in 1999. DeYoung had been diagnosed with an illness that left him painfully sensitive to light and unable to tour. The band wanted to tour, but DeYoung's health limited his participation. Attempts at compromise failed. Styx without all 5 original members wasn't Styx. The rest of the band disagreed. They had tour commitments, financial obligations, and careers to maintain. James Young summarized their decision bluntly. Dennis was going off in a very unilateral sort of way, where it's his way or the highway. In October 2000, DeYoung filed a federal lawsuit in Chicago, claiming misuse of the Styx trademark. He argued that a 1990 partnership contract required the agreement of all 5 original members regarding use of the band's name. DeYoung described the litigation as the most painful decision of my professional career. Brotherhood had become a legal dispute. Lifelong friends were now represented by lawyers. The Civil War had moved from the stage to the courtroom. The music had a life of its own. Decades after the Civil War tore Styx apart, the music survives. The songs that were born from Midwestern grit, theatrical ambition, and creative tension have achieved something the band members never could: timeless unity. The Shaw-Young-led version of Styx continues to tour extensively, often playing entire albums from their 1977 to 1981 Imperial phase. They're currently touring The Grand Illusion in its entirety for 2025. focusing on the era before the Kilroy conflict. The period fans still consider the band's creative peak. Meanwhile, Dennis DeYoung tours separately, playing the same Styx hits to audiences who still love them. He's said, "I love Styx as much as I could love anything in my life, but he'll never share a stage with Shaw and Young again. The wound's never healed. The divide is absolute and permanent. When both versions of Styx tour through the same cities, fans are forced to choose which one to see. Some attend both shows, trying to reconcile the two halves of a broken whole. Others pick sides based on loyalty to their favorite songs or their preferred vision of what Styx should be. The civil war that destroyed the band has spread to the fan base itself. Yet the songs endure. Classic rock radio still plays Come Sail Away and Renegade in heavy rotation. Younger generations discover Styx through film and television. Lady in Old School, Renegade in Billy Madison, Come Sail Away in Big Daddy and the Virgin Suicides. The universal appeal of these arena anthems has filtered out the historical drama, proving that the emotional resonance of the music has triumphed over the band's self-destruction. The irony is profound. The band that chose their name through reluctant compromise, the only one that none of us hated, created music that millions of people love deeply. The theatrical vision that tore them apart produced some of their greatest songs. The brotherhood that couldn't survive created a legacy that will. Styx proved that the greatest harmonies can emerge from the deepest discord. Their music still moves us, still triggers memories of youth and possibility. But their story reminds us that success doesn't guarantee happiness, that artistic vision can become artistic warfare, and that even the strongest bonds can shatter under pressure. The music survived, the brotherhood didn't. What's your memory of Styx? Drop it in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold stories of rock's greatest triumphs and tragedies.